父がいるウルトラの母がいるそして太郎がここにいる空を見ろ星を見ろ宇宙を見ろ彼方から迫り来る赤い日を
何かが地球に起きるとき腕のパチが輝いて
太郎が飛び立つ太郎が戦う太郎太郎太郎ウルトラマン太郎
Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 75. My name is Red. I'm joined by Mel.
Hello.
And no one else.
Yeah.
Brad is gone. We killed him.
It's a shame Brad's dead. But don't worry, I brought someone else. It's our new
Did you?
co-host. His name is also Brad.
Wow. Fantastic.
Hello, I'm American.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well done. Thank you. Does Brad have any bits?
I don't know.
No. The Brad impression stops there.
See, the problem is, because I'm Canadian, I couldn't tell you what makes someone a Wisconsinite.
And yet we've had so many opportunities to study it throughout this podcast.
Well, the thing is, we only have the one American on this pod, so we have no way of knowing what stuff is just American things and what things are just Wisconsin.
Yeah, we can what we can do is we need to do deep study into what makes Brad call Henri Wisconsin coded.
Yeah, so we need like someone from the West Coast, someone from the South, and maybe someone from a different Midwest state just as a control variable, and then we can just like compare.
Oh yeah, we do studies.
Yeah.
We study the American mind.
Yeah, like science.
Yeah. Now, coming up, we have got episodes about animals that are turtles that are also parents. And then we've got more weird Egypt stuff. Thank God.
Yeah.
It was about time.
So, managed to be a bit less racist.
Oh yeah. It's just, some like a little bit of I brought this talisman back from ancient Egypt. Will it turn me into the king of games? No, it will not.
Very funny. He's just like, yeah, I got this off an Egyptian woman. Can you read it? No, but to be fair, I don't think she could either.
I didn't speak the language. Now, do you mean ancient Egyptian? Because I don't think that's what... Yeah. Before we get into any of that, actually, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. Yeah, I do. Okay. So, I rewatched season 3 of Thunderbolt Fantasy. Ready for season 4 coming out in October. Season 3 of Thunderbolt Fantasy, much better doing it in like 2 sittings than that when I watched it week to week, like as it was airing. Okay. That was like, it's like there's a lot of moving parts in Thunderbolt Fantasy 3. There's a lot of trying to keep track of like who's getting tricked, who's tricking who, and I think it's like overall it doesn't hit like season 1, and overall it's like maybe not quite as good as season 2, but it has that good content with TM Revolution's OC. And it's got Wan Junpo, who is Akio Otsuka's character, who is just a very good Urabuchi guy through via Wuja. It's very good. It's I'm a big fan. I can easily see this kind of guy being like a cool guy in Three Kingdoms who's busy getting like duped, or like something like recent, like in a Jin Yong novel or something.
Things that are more recent than the Three Kingdoms. A lot of history.
Yeah. Yes.
The fall of the Roman.
Just a little bit more recent 20th century author Jin Yong. But yeah, and he's also got all those classic Urabuchi qualities. It's honestly just very it's very fitting that Urabuchi likes this kind of story and likes writing it.
The main reason I fell off Thunderbolt Fantasy 3 was I booted up episode 1, I guess like a decent time removed from having seen season 2. And I was like, I don't know who these guys are.
It is
like season 2 is like season 1's a lot more self-contained, and season 2 it's like he brings in like new guys, and so season 3 picking up right from where season 2 left off means you're like, what the fuck? Who are these people?
It's really funny how much it's just like immediately following up on season 2, because it was years between, because it was like 2018 was season 2, and then they made a movie, and then 2021 was season 3, I think. And like the movie was not set in between season 2 and season 3. It was like a prequel.
I remember because I did see that movie, and it didn't leave it.
Mm-hmm. And then season 3 hits, and it's like, quick, we need to find this guy. And it's like, oh, he's still alive? What? Oh, he's still got the sword? What are you talking about? But yeah, season 3, it's a little bit messy, but it's got the vibes of like a dark. It's got the vibes of a play. Like, I can feel people walking off stage and other people walking on stage to have their scenes. And it feels like a farce. Like, everyone's, like, walking into rooms and just being like, oh, yeah, that guy said this. And then they walk out, and then, guy 3 walks in and says, oh, did you know this guy said this? And it's all just the enigmatic Gale having a good time, being his usual bastard self. And then, there's some big reveals in season 3 that are really sick.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I like Thunderbolt Fantasy. I'm excited for season 4, and then there's going to be a movie next year, and then that's it. Rip Thunderbolt Fantasy. It will be over. It will be done. I don't know what Urabuchi's, planning on doing afterwards. We'll see.
I hope he does something cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, it'd be funny if he just actually liked the medium of puppets, so I'm going to do a completely different thing.
He wrote a kind of alright, a mid to okay, like decent anime called Revenger recently.
Yeah. Was that him or was it Napkin?
No, it was absolutely him. I am I had back when it was starting. I was almost getting mad in like the Abnormal Mapping Discord as people were saying, is this really him, or is this like he's written an idea on a napkin and handed it to someone? And I'm like, it's literally, it's right. His name's in the credits as the script writer. He did it. He wrote the show. Also, I'm watching it. I can tell it's an Urabuchi anime. These are Urabuchi guys. The fact that it wasn't that. The thing is, if I wasn't so certain, I would not be calling it. This is definitely an Urabuchi anime, because like it was completely unremarkable.
He's putting the sauce.
It wasn't that good.
He's putting the sauce in the puppets.
He's putting the sauce in the puppets. The Revenger slightly there's a little something in Revenger. It's okay. It's like it's got some stuff, but it's like not is not his best.
NOP kind of goes though.
It does. I love the like sandal taps on the that one bit. It's good. The other thing I've been doing is I've beat all the campaigns for Age of Empires 4.
Oh, you mean that thing you were doing before you recorded?
That was not the campaign. So this ties into the kind of arc I've gone on with Age of Empires 4. Campaigns,
Look forward to skipping
mid. Campaigns, not shut the fuck. It's every time. The campaign's not that good. Like it's like you've got the Norman campaign, which is about like William the Conqueror and then his sons like creating like a modern quote unquote mod. The thing about British history is that every like 100 years, couple of hundred years, there's a king who, if you go to his Wikipedia page, it says credited as the founder of modern England or / modern Britain, and it's like they can't all be that. They can't. You have to pick a few.
Well, you see, everyone is we're all standing on the shoulders of giants. I would say Charles the First is one of the founders of modern England by dying.
This is true.
In much the same way that Louis XVI was a founder of modern France by dying.
True. This is true. But yeah, it's almost as though this whole founder of modern X thing isn't quite a way of viewing history. It's not quite real. But like the so like the Norman campaigns, and then the Norman campaign, which is like the English faction, which is like deliberately designed to be like beginner friendly. It's like a defensive faction. It's like does everything. It's like the baseline normal. It's normal. England is normal.
Normans known for defending more than other things.
Lol. Well, now I will get conquest via the Normans did build a lot of castles. That was how they conquered England and Wales and
Naples.
not quite Scotland, and presumably Naples, and also it's not how they conquered other places, but specifically with the focus on the conquest of England, lot of castles. So I'll give them that. And then there was a campaign about the Rus, and the Rus are kind of they're like a little bit different, but not like crazy different. And then there's the French, which are all like cavalry, and like really good gunpowder units. Like really
I would
artillery.
say just from I'm not like a medievalist, so I'm not as good at stuff. But I do think, like, do the English have the longbow? Because I think that's an important.
Oh yeah. The English faction has the longbow. Also, all the villagers, most villagers have like this little attack with like a knife or something. English villagers get a bow. Which is reflective of the whole thing where like every man in England was like of a certain age trained to use a longbow on Sundays, in like a certain time frame. French is like the cavalry, artillery, and then the next campaign was the Mongol campaign, and the Mongols. They got a cool faction because all their buildings, you can pack them up and move them, which is sick. It's really cool. They have the Mangadai, which appears to be the only cavalry archer in the game, which is a little you know, I guess it's a little more reflective of like
it is
these factions.
it is what the steppe horror nomads were like good at. Like that's their shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's just it was surprising to me because cavalry archers are such a like an essential unit in Age of Empires 2 as
Yeah.
like as like, you know, archers but like with lots of hit points and can move around a lot. They're great for raiding.
Yeah.
There are lots of
Let's just
also
see-
there are lots of other factions there's like the Huns in Age of Empires 2 as well as the Mongols and stuff like that. And the Tatars. There's no distinction between the Tatars. The fucking Rus campaign has you defeating the Mongols at this battle, and you like look them up, and it's like, well, they defeated the Tatars, and it's like, I get why you've done this because you haven't got a Tatar, but you can't just say that they are the like. I get why you're doing this, but there is a little distinction here.
I do think it's funny looking at like Age of Empires 4's like civs.
Yes.
Just like some of them are like named the classic way of like, oh, the English, oh, the French, and then some of them are very highly specific, like the Delhi Sultan. I'm like, this is an interesting choice.
Yeah. There's I haven't played them yet. They've also got the Abbasid dynasty, who can't. I believe it's the Delhi Sultanate and the Abbasid. No, it's the. I don't know about the Delhi Sultanate. The Abbasid dynasty doesn't has like a bonus to their farms or something to balance the fact that they can't get food from pigs.
Oh.
Yeah. There's like a little detail where I was like, whoa, okay. I would have kept this simple and not put pigs in the game. I like this is but you know, this is kind of cool. But the Mongol campaign is kind of the most fun because the Mongol faction is like cool. There's the kind of the most interesting stuff going on of the four that I played in the campaigns, and then the other factions don't get campaigns, and this annoyed me a little bit because I was like, okay, first of all, it annoys me when a single player campaign in an RTS is a tutorial for the faction. I don't like that, and the Mongol campaign is a little bit of that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. Same with the French and not the English, kind of. Yeah, because it's like, you know, there's a mission showing you why longbows are really cool. And yeah, the Rus campaign is also this a bit. And it annoys me in the first place that people do that. But the game also doesn't have separate tutorials for the factions. So, like, you do have to have some kind of tutorial for the factions. So there's no campaign for the other factions in the game. And if you go to like the learn section of Age of Empires 4 and it says like, oh, how to play the Chinese, click here. And I click here and it takes me to a web page. And I'm like, I'm going to kill somebody. What are you talking about? No, this is terrible. The state of it.
It'd be funny if you open up Guilty Gear and it's like, okay, tell me how to play Slayer, and it just links you to the Dust Loop page.
Yeah, instead of all those like combo missions and stuff. Yeah, it's a little silly because like then the factions aren't so different. Like they're different enough that they play very differently, but they're not so different that the tutorials would be very in depth.
Yeah.
So you don't need to put in that. It was very annoying. But so I was kind of coming off the campaigns a bit like I don't know. I think maybe this game's mid because it's a little bit looser than Age of Empires 2. Like selecting individual units is trickier because they stand very close together, and units are a little less recognizable at a glance than Age because there's like a prioritization of I don't know, some kind of like uniformity of like faction aesthetic, which is frustrating when I'm just trying to pick out what is a light cavalry unit, what is a heavy cavalry unit, because like every faction gets a light cavalry, a heavy cavalry, it's horseman and knight, but like under different names, and then they have different aesthetics, and I'm like, well, okay. I would like to be able to just like at a glance recognize what a horseman is and what a knight is, and for the most part I can, but it's sometimes a little and things are not quite that responsive, but it's there's some highlights, like gunpowder units are sick, musketeers are great. I love French cannons. French cannons are fucking cool. It's like when musketeers are charged by like cavalry, and then like there's like smoke rising and like the huge cacophony of like the guns going off, and then like waves of cavalry collapse to the ground. I'm like, hell yeah.
You sound cool. Like Mehmet the Conqueror will coming into Constantinople right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just it's good. But then I was just like, you know what? I'm going to play like a skirmish and see how that goes. And it was great. I had a great time. And then I played another and it was great. And I had a great time. And then I've been playing more. And then like, this podcast starts recording anywhere between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. For me. And at 2:45, I was like, I'm gonna start a skirmish right now, and I'm just gonna keep an eye on Discord. And so I've been having a good time. I realized that a lot of the campaign's problems is that it's very railroady, very handholdy, and very like not like presenting a sandbox or like a problem that you have to crack yourself, but rather like really guiding you towards an answer, or like where there's some alternative answer, it's thought of that alternative and like scripted it. And it's kind of annoying. Compared to Age of Empires 2, which has a degree of like sometimes has a degree of this, but it's like much more freeform. It was frustrating, but the skirmishes, playing the skirmishes, I realized that this is a good game. They're like beneath the veneer of mid-campaign, there is a good video game here that they're built on. This is a good RTS game. IMO. I have been having a good time. Nice. So yeah. It was surprising because I was expecting to like it less than I did. I don't like it as much as Age of Empires 2, but that's that's
like cool take.
It's mean. It's yeah, Age of Empires 2 is one of the all-time classics of the genre, and it's like Relic, who make
like you're not
heroes. It's like then they make their games, and they're good games. Relic might even be who made Homeworld, the original Homeworld series. Is it? Yeah, it is Relic. I am remembering right. Yeah, Homeworld is absolutely a game I need to play.
I need to play some RTS.
They're fun. They're fun. Age of Empires, yeah. Relic worked on Age of Empires 4, and they've done a pretty good job. I'm pretty pleased with it. Like now that I'm not playing the campaigns, I'm having a good time. I probably won't play any multiplayer because my internet is truly shoddy.
It did strike me as like the struggle with 4 was that like instead of like doing something like a new time period like the others did, it was like we're doing 2 again, but people want to play 2, which is also readily available, and somehow getting new content.
Yeah, it's out. They were playing off of the how beloved 2 is, not realizing that that was itself a disadvantage because 2 is now an active video game. That anyone who likes 2 is playing 2 right now. I don't know what period, or here's the thing. What they could do instead of periods is they could start focusing in on like areas, regions, or like specific
that would
in
be
the way that like
interesting to me. I think that'd be a bit more interesting to me.
Yeah, in the way that like, you know, Total War went to like 3 kingdoms, and like when they did that I was like, oh, that's a cool way of doing this. That's a cool way of finding new places for your games to go.
And even then, like the first Total War game was like a Sengoku era.
Yeah. I mean, this is exactly right. Like Shogun Total War is like it's just. So that is very specific. So if anything, 3 Kingdoms return to form, for how specific it is. And I think that specificity could be good. The thing then would be that you'd have to. The problem with that is, and this is, you know, something that criticism I've seen leveled at Total War 3 Kingdoms in the past, is that the armies are all basically the same.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that's a very big problem for the Age of Empires series. Because in let me tell you about Age of Empires 2. The armies are all basically the same. You've all basically got the same core set of units. You know, there's a couple of units that factions don't have access to, a couple of units that certain factions do have access to. Every faction has like one unique unit. And it's like they have specific economic bonuses and like technology bonuses that make different civs like meta picks for different maps, which is a very, very fun thing about Age of Empires 2, is how many civs the pros are learning and playing all the time. It's loads.
Yeah.
And then I think that style of game would suit a more specific setting.
Yeah. He was curious, like seeing different strategy game series take different approaches to this stuff.
Yeah, I sometimes think about like a very specific example. I think about in terms of like different ways of approaching the same idea, different like thematic ways of, like even just thematic ways of approaching the same idea is like population cap. Like in Age of Empires, you can build farms which generate food, and you build houses to increase your population. In World of Warcraft, you have supply that restricts your population, and building farms increases your supply. And then instead of like harvesting food, you're gathering gold, and that kind of thing, gathering wood and gold. So it's like, and then like Age of Empires is like a 4 resource game, which is like a level of complexity that I really appreciate, in terms of like different, like in StarCraft 2, in StarCraft you've got minerals and gas, and they like differentiate what you can build into like in terms of like mineral units that need gas, and that's kind of it. In Age of Empires you have food, wood, gold, stone. Gold units are typically a little better than units that only take like wood and like food, or just plain food units. But like there is less gold on the map than food and wood. And then you've got stone, which is like exclusively used for castles, basically. Castles and town centers. And then in Age of Empires 4, the stone walls are a much bigger deal than in Age of Empires 2, because you can't attack stone walls with normal units anymore. You can't do chip damage to stone walls.
chipped in.
Yeah. So you can't just chip away at them until they're fucking down with like cavalry. That doesn't work. Also, you can put Star Wars. They're big. You can put archers on top of them. It's cool. I like it. Yeah, I like Age of Empires. This goes pretty good.
Yeah. It's foundational in the genre for a reason.
Yeah. Well, yes. Age of I want to play Age of Empires 1. I played it ages ago, back when because it was like my grandmother got me a 4-disc set of like Age of Empires Gold Edition, Age of Empires 2, Age of Empires 2 The Conquerors, and then like the Age of Empires 2 OST. And it was off the back of this was a fork in the road for my personal development as a human being. I was a big fan of Time Commanders. I don't know if you know what Time Commanders is.
Definitely.
Probably not. Time Commanders, British TV show where people played Total War without knowing that it was a video game. They got normal people off the street, basically. Teams of 4, 2 generals, 2 lieutenants.
You can say lieutenant. We're in the...
Yeah, okay, lieutenant, okay.
Brad is...
American is gone. The American is gone. Lieutenant. 2 lieutenants, and they would give orders to the people playing the video game for them.
Oh, that's fun.
And this was built on Rome Total War. There's a great one of like the original People Make Games videos was about Time Commanders, actually, because Chris Pratt, also big fan of Time Commanders. There's some funny stories behind the making of Time Commanders, but the important thing is I really like Time Commanders, and my gran went into like a game shop. This was the story, and she was like, my grandson really likes Time Commanders and he plays video games. Do you have anything for him? And bless whatever godly soul she spoke to that day who did not recommend Rome Total War. Now, I'm absolutely fine with the Total War series. However, whoever that was, they said, I've got just the thing. And, Age of Empires Gold, Age of Empires 2, The Age of Kings, and Age of Empires 2, The Conquerors in like one 4-disc set. And that was my birthday present. And I was that was it. That was the end of the line for me. It was over. But yeah, I wanna go back and play Age of Empires 1 at some point, but I wanna play some DOS games first. I wanna play Dune 2, play Warcraft.
I think I gravitate towards the Paradox style just because I like the historical accuracy of it. But I want to try other mechanical flavors too. Also, I want to try the Koei games because Koei has been that was their bread and butter for decades.
They do the Romance of the Three Kingdoms games, right?
And Nobunaga's Ambition, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And in the 80s and 90s, they did a bunch of other series. They did Uncharted Waters or something, and they had a Genghis Khan spin-off series. They did a bunch of weird stuff before they kind of just narrowed down on just those two because they got other golden gooses like Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah. The one last thing I'll say about Age of Empires 4, but I've talked about this for way too long, is it's the tone of the campaigns in terms of the description of history is a little much. It's a little much. I think it could do with being a little more cynical about these cool guys conquering places. I don't think we need this kind of weird kind of hero worship. They're building our modern world about like these people conquering places and taking them it's
Yeah, maybe they
it's
shouldn't.
it's factually true that they are building towards where we are today, but like we don't that doesn't necessarily is not necessarily like a default good thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it.
Yeah.
What you been up to?
Going on, I don't have much. This is busy.
All right.
I guess the most I can say is like the new Kamen Rider show started.
Oh.
I haven't seen.
Yeah.
So Gotcha ended. And I didn't see any of it. And maybe I'll go back to it. But it's
Do people make it sound like it was good?
It's divisive.
Ooh, the Ultraman Ace of
I think it's Hibiki.
What's this new one called?
Gavv.
Oh, you are right about the Hibiki. Did you just say Gavv?
Yes. Gavv.
Kamen Rider Gavin? What?
And this is an interesting one. Well, start off the bat. I've only seen 2 episodes, and so far I'm like, you know what, they might be cooking. This does look good.
Ooh.
But so far, based on the first 2 episodes, but also I need to understand that there's a bit of like on a surface level some Gaim energy, the degree to which it's like the thing the writing is trying to do tonally, and like the gimmick of the show, what they're trying to sell as toys, are at complete odds in a way that's really funny. And I'm going to show you what it looks like, and you can tell the audience what the perceived gimmick of the show is, the theming. This is
Okay. What is? Hang on. What the fuck am I looking at? Are these? Is this chocolate? This is like. These are snacks.
Yes.
This is snack themed.
Yes.
One of these riders has alternating milk chocolate, white chocolate armor.
I think that's a secondary. And like
What's the...
this from episode 2.
There's marshmallow armor, marshmallow rider suit, up in the top left.
Yeah, look at this this form he gets in episode 2.
Let me.
Potato chip.
Oh my god. Oh, we got the Pringle Kamen Rider.
But yeah.
This is outrageous.
Yeah. Until I watched episode 1, I wasn't sure how I'd feel. Just 'cause, like, you know.
It's the snack Kamen Rider.
He transforms with snacks. He gets forms with a snack. Hold on, let me see if I can get a GIF. A GIF. I don't know.
You're allowed. I'm not a GIF purist.
Not like Brad, I guess.
Yeah, let's talk shit about him while he's not here.
Yeah. He's getting his movie next week, it's fine.
This is true. This is true. I need to download that.
I'm gonna
buy it, officer.
So look at this GIF of how he transforms.
Okay. I'm watching. So he puts the snack in the belt.
Yeah. So there's a gimmick. The plot of the show is there used to be like these weird monsters that like these things that are like called dark infections for some reason. And it's like it feels like a drug kind of thing. But also like to eat people. The protagonist show seems to be like a good one of those guys. It doesn't like
kids, do not eat dark confections.
But the funny thing is, the thing about this race of beings is they have mouths in their stomach.
Oh, okay.
And the important thing is that belt that he's got there is not like a belt he puts on; it's a part of his body.
Oh no!
And then he puts the snack in the mouth and transforms.
Oh no! Oh, I'm seeing it now. It wraps tentacles around around his waist.
Yeah, it takes on the belt form when he's like actually about to transform a rider mode, but otherwise it's just hanging there.
This is foul. This is. I can't believe this.
It's so wild, and it is interesting because like, despite everything, it does seem to be cooking a bit, the show, because it's like it seems to be going into like traditional rider vibes, where it's like the protagonist Shoma, he's a goofy boy. He's like he had a mother who apparently he's from a different world from this race where this race of being is, and he gets to Earth, and like his mom is gone. I'm not sure if she's dead or missing, but like he's got a bit of a complex with that, and like he gets enthusiastic whenever he eats like these snack foods that his mom told about because she visited the human world once, and like he'll eat gummies or potato chips, like he's a father seeing his firstborn child for the first time. And it's just like everyone's like, damn, you're going crazy for potato chips. They're just like, sprinkles. And he's like, oh my, but like
His name is Shoma Stomach.
wait, is he?
I'm literally. This might not be true.
I don't think he has his last name. But
Oh, okay.
Oh wait. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. On the wiki, born the Shoma Stomach. Oh yeah, because I think the villain is like the Stomach family, who's like a organized.
I see.
I've only seen the first 2 episodes. There's like a third one that came out last week that I haven't gotten.
I went looking this up to find out why it was called Gavv.
Yeah.
But you continue.
And yeah, there's it does seem to be a thing going on where like the monsters of the race are going around like maybe eating people, and like the secondary or going to be secondary, I don't know if he's transformed yet, is like this like a independent journalist guy who's like trying to track down the case of like, I remember a monster from my childhood who attacked my mother, and like now I'm trying to prove that's real kind of thing. And there's just like episode 1 is basically like Shoma bumps into this child, and the child befriends him, and then stuff happens where like he protects the child from the monster, but like the mom sees both. Basically, the recurring thing in all these episodes is like Shoma's a kind-hearted, hero, but because he's like kind of the same as like the monster's eating people, everyone treats him as like a monster, even though he's like saving them. And then like they react to him like, oh no, it's a monster, and he gets sad, and you're like I'm sorry for bothering you. I'll walk away into the sunset kind of thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, Kamen Rider. He's doing the Kamen Rider thing. Good. It feels like it's been forever since we had that kind of vibe, and it's cool. Like the set dressing is like ridiculous, but like the way it's like committing to like being like a real ass Kamen Rider show and like hitting the emotional beats well, it's good and impressive so far. And like it's even got a bit of like that early 2000s element to where it's like, Shoma's like a guy who doesn't know where to live, and like they gotta find a place for him to live and like do stuff. Like, in this episode he like helps someone lets her, I think she's gonna be a recurring character, but she lets them crash at her place. And like as thanks, he like helps her do like, because she runs a moving company, and he helps her with like the manual labor bit. And it's like, oh yeah, it's like reminded me of like there used to be a time in Kamen Rider where protagonists had like other things going in their lives besides being Kamen Rider, and that's good, Because like that's like for the past decade of Kamen
Everyone's
Rider,
been a rider.
Yeah, it's been like increasingly everyone is a rider, and also the plot is based around rider stuff, and like no one has a life outside of being a rider. And it's just like refreshing, just being like, oh yeah, going a bit back to like the double life aspect. Like, you know, Shoma's like obviously stuck in position like as not a human. Like, well, I have to. He can't not be the hero, but also like he's got other things going on and just like, you know, kind of figure his way through this world. And like you got the detective guy being like, "What's up with this stuff? I want to know what's happening."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. I mean, obviously it's like early days, 50 episodes. It could go any direction. It could go bad. Plenty of precedent for that. But so far it seems promising. I'm gonna check the writer because the writer is someone I don't think has written a writer show before. She's like written episodes, but not like a whole series. Yeah. So she's written a bunch of episodes for Kamen Rider Wizard and a few for Drive, but she's mostly written Sentai seasons as the head writer. And the shows she wrote for the head writer for are Izuoger, Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger, and Zenkaiger were her shows. But one of those is my favorite Sentai show, so you know. The other two I do like as well. So you know, it's encouraging. She's someone whose stuff I like from Sentai. So
yeah,
I'm hoping she can stick the landing with a writer's show. I don't know how much like executive meddling goes on that stuff, but you know, it's cool.
Presumably loads.
Yeah, it might even be like it might even be more so with Rider than the Sentai, just like the way things have gone with that franchise. I think like maybe sometimes Sentai can be like allowed to do its own thing. Korka isn't much of a big moneymaker, but also like I think one of the producers at Toei has been like, yeah, there's just around like the culture of like the Sentai development, like is a theme that's like obviously changed throughout like the many decades, but also it's like because it's been a consistent thing and there's like always it's like some people are leaving and other people are coming in because like, you know, that happens when there's like 40 years of show and people like grow up and die and new people are born. But it's like there is like I get the impression there's like a consistency to Sentai because there's like an institutional knowledge there, which maybe isn't the same with Rider, where it feels like it's I don't know if it's quite the same, where it seems like it's being shaken up a lot, or it's also the big money maker now. I don't know the specifics. It's hard for me to like I can't explain it, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see where it goes. There's like now there's 4 episodes out. I have 2 more. I have those 2 more to catch up on. But yeah, so far it's cool. I like that it's like, in spite of how ridiculous the motif is, it's like managing to commit seriously to like the emotional beats of like a real writer story. And you know, I think the show would be worse as well if it was like turns to the camera and says, "Ha, isn't it funny that he's the Marshmallow Man now?" There's a bit of that in Gaim in Italy, where like the writers transform and say, "What do you mean he's a banana?" But you know, I think like, you know, I think you said it once yourself that sincerity has irony beat. So
yeah,
so like, you know, the fact that just like, yeah, this is a snack shim though, and we're just gonna roll with it and not draw attention to it. It's just, you know, it's the better choice. Like, you know. The anecdote I remember from like Urbuchi talking about Gaim was that like the toy stuff is decided before necessarily they get the writer on board. So like he was like, so one of the like Toei guys was like, "Hey, we want you on board because we like your style again, and we know that you're like you're a fan of those earlier 2000s writers, and we want to bring that energy back. That's the show we want you to make. Can you do this for us?" And he was like, okay, I'm on board. And it was only after I agreed to it that they showed me the orange.
That's what it means to be a writer. That's what it means to be a professional. That's the gig. Did we have anything else?
No, that's me. Like,
No.
Yeah, I just haven't had a lot. And you know what? I gave a lot last week anyway. So.
Yeah. The other thing I should quickly mention is obviously we have to bring, a lot of my time has been dedicated to watching some of your favorite streamers a lot, because basically the entirety of Hololive has been getting into like Grand Theft Auto roleplay this last week.
Oh yeah, my favorite series, Grand Theft Auto, that I've never played in a while.
Yeah, Fuamoko driving an ambulance around and throwing patients out the back by accident. It's good.
Is it?
Yeah. You don't want to hear about Fuamoko? Okay.
No.
No.
Yeah, good.
Okay. I also started Heartcatch Precure. I'm gonna watch that 2 episodes a week. It's good.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much better it looks than Fresh Precure.
Yeah, you got a guy with like art direction.
Yeah, and also it's like it's good. I'm a fan.
Yeah, like it's weird the degree to which the Pink in that show is just like an archetype they never done again.
In Heartcatch?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
like
Shy Pink.
Yeah, she's like the
Introvert Pink.
Yeah, she's the only one who's like the introvert Pink. Everyone else is like really a go-getter, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they're the same. They're not the same. Like they're all different characters and good in their own way. But like it is remarkable that Tsubomi is the only time they've really done like a real introverted Pink.
Yeah. Her with the
Mizuki.
when she's in like true cartoon mode with like her glasses on and it's just like giant, slightly mismatched sized white circles on her face.
Yes.
I'm like, this is amazing. This is a perfect creature. Anyway, it is time to talk about Ultraman.
Yeah.
So I have some summaries here.
Yeah.
That I did not write. That were Mel sent to me.
I spent. It was up after midnight finishing these, so that was cool.
Yeah,
I went to bed
dedication.
like 20 minutes after. I will say in advance, we somehow got another 2-parter.
Yes, immediately. It did just suddenly occur to me as like, oh, we might have lots of 2-parters in this series.
Yeah, that was part of the weird like attempt to juggle the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I did write 4 and 5 separately, but I also did like give you a bridge to like
Oh yeah, I see it. I'm looking at these right now. I see it.
So,
Okay.
If we can just follow I guess we can just follow the precedent. We're just like, yeah, we'll just do this every time. So.
Okay, let me take a sip. Good. Okay. Episode 4 of Ultraman Taro is called Giant Sea Turtle Monsters Attack Tokyo, featuring the kaijus King Tortoise and Queen Tortoise.
Tortoise?
Tortoise, King Tortoise, Queen Tortoise. Tortoise.
So
I'm gonna stop. Kotaro is jogging back home when he almost steps on one of the turtles from... Why are they called... hang on. Hang on. Aren't they turtles?
Listen. They just name some shit sometimes, like...
Okay.
I mean, if you guess you want to get technical, then all tortoises are turtles, but also turtles refer more to, like, seawater, and then terrapins are freshwater. I don't know. It's not important.
Anyway. Kotaro is jogging back home when he almost steps on one of the turtles from the Shiratori family fountain. As he and Kenichi play with the turtles, Kenichi wonders if their turtles will grow as big as the giant turtles of Oran Island, King Tortoise and Queen Tortoise. Kotaro, and later the narrator, explain that these turtles are a special case, having grown to kaiju size because of the island's volcanic activity. Just then, Saori arrives with a distressing newspaper article. An initiative to capture the turtles is underway. Over on Oran Island, the greedy showman Kurosaki and his pith helmet-wearing goons set up operation to capture the turtle couple as they return to the land for egg-laying. Glad to see the return of pith helmets in its correct context of evil people. As the sun sets, Queen Tortoise arrives and buries her eggs. On cue, the team begins their assault, firing a tranquilizer gun and capturing her in a giant net. When King Tortoise arrives to save her, they repeat the process on him. King Tortoise is able to break free of the net, but the anesthetic takes over and he sinks into the ocean. The next morning, the team dig up the eggs and return to Japan on a merchant ship, the Dion Sakuramaru, which hauls Queen Tortoise behind it. Kurosaki discusses with the ship's crew his plans to set Queen Tortoise up in a marine park for display, and ideally even perform tricks, which will make him very rich. Just then, one of his men brings his special dinner order to celebrate, soup made from Queen Tortoise's eggs. All of Kurosaki's men and the ship's crew dig into the soup, while Queen Tortoise begins to stir in anger as the anesthetic wears off. With the ship now under threat, Zat is contacted to bail them out, while Aragaki and Nanbara at first wonder if this is a publicity stunt. Kotaro and Kirajima are sent over in the Condor to check things out. I have to sneeze, but I don't. Hang on. Wait. It's gone. Okay, there we're good. Upon reaching the ship, they fire on Queen Tortoise, despite the protests of Kurosaki. Queen Tortoise is then freed by King Tortoise, and the two escape into the sea. The next day, Kurosaki chews out Zat for firing on his prize catch, and Kotaro argues with him that it was wrong to capture them in the first place. The crew of the Dion Sakuramaru are, for their part, grateful for Zat's help. Aragaki notices everyone from the boat has strange hexagonal hives on their neck after eating the soup, and Nanbara wonders if this is the turtle's curse. Aragaki then asks Kurosaki what he plans to do with the eggs, but Kurosaki tells him to mind his own business and storms off. At their HQ, Kurosaki and his team wonder how they can profit off the eggs, maybe by selling them? Who knows? But what they do know is that the hives seem to be getting worse. That night, two of his goons, Sakuma and Shirai, are out driving when Shirai sees some red flashes and stops the car by the beach. The two get out of the car, only for the car to be crushed by some kind of rock that is very clearly Queen Tortoise, who then proceeds to slurp up Sakuma with her tongue. This is tongue-pilled Ultraman.
We have so much tongue in this show.
It's tongue-oriented, for sure. Shirai then runs away into the night. The next morning, Zat investigates the scene, and Kurosaki accuses Shirai of lying about Sakuma getting eaten, but what he assumed to be a rock for... and Kurosaki accuses Shirai of lying about Sakuma getting eaten by what he assumed to be a rock for some reason to cover up getting into a car accident. Zat note, however, that the car was crushed from above. It must be a kaiju. Meanwhile, the Dion Sakuramaru is attacked by a flying saucer that looks suspiciously like a spinning turtle shell, which drops bombs on the ship and causes it to sink. The bodies are recovered from the sea, and their deaths are confirmed. Now, of the people who drank the soup, only 3 remain. Kurosaki, Shirai, and one other guy who does get a name but does not matter at all to make it worth remembering. Kotaro believes this is the turtle's revenge, but Aragaki thinks that can't be right since the ship was attacked by a flying saucer. It's kind of a funny bit.
Yeah.
While Kirajima and Nanbara consider the possibility of the turtles hiring aliens as hitmen, the captain sends Kotaro and Nishida to guard the last 3 men. Back at Kurosaki's HQ, the remaining 3 ponder the eggs, which are glowing for some reason. Shirai snaps at that moment and rushes out just as the rabbit panda pulls up, running down the road and stripping off his clothes, screaming. Kotaro takes the rabbit panda, leaving Nishida behind, and follows Shirai, only to see the ground collapse beneath his feet. Shirai is gone, and Queen Tortoise emerges from the earth. Kotaro transforms and begins fighting the giant turtle, who is able to plant egg bombs on his body mid-suplex. To make matters worse, King Tortoise shows up too. The other Zat members arrive on the scene and realize that King Tortoise in spinning shell form must have been the flying saucer. As Taro tries taking both turtles on at once, they both spin in their shells and trap him inside a tornado. To be continued. I do think this is worth talking about on its own, because these 2 episodes are about like 2 different types of violence against kaiju.
Yeah, that is true. The plot actually gets resolved. The plot for the previous episode does get resolved pretty quickly in the
yes.
second one, and then we move on to a different thing.
Yes, like the subject of next episode is not Pith Helmet themed. This one is extremely Pith Helmet themed.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a fun episode. I like this episode.
Yeah.
So we've got some Pith Helmet guys who want to pull off like King Kong on like turtles.
Yeah.
This specifically saying like, I would take it to a marine park, make it do tricks, and it's like the commentary because it's like extremely unsubtle because this is the most for children's show imaginable.
Yeah.
But you know, I still appreciate it.
Someone has to say it.
Someone has to say it. Like SeaWorld sucks. SeaWorld fucking sucks. Stop making them do, just let them go. Anyway, but yeah, this episode's theme is SeaWorld sucks. I really like the specific thing of like they've got one egg that they've just cracked that was like cracked open, and they're like, well, we'll just make soup out of this, and it's like this, you know, this wish to like eat like, ooh, you know, eat like, ooh, exotic animal food stuff is like extremely, you know, big game hunter.
It's really presented in like
coded.
This is a fucked up thing way.
Yeah, this is like a horrific thing that they're doing. Cutting between like this little bone that's managed to get into the soup, and then like the kaiju in the nets, like whining like a dog. It whines like a dog. It is very specific. I'm convinced that's the sound effect that they used.
Yeah. Not the only one dog whine will get this back.
Yeah. I think maybe the funniest thing that's happened in Taro so far is the ending of the third episode we're talking about this week.
We'll get to it.
I do. No, we'll have to save that for the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got the. I like these kaiju. Yeah. I think they're fun.
Yeah.
I have not seen a Gamera movie. However,
yeah. I plan on watching those soon enough.
This very much feels like, oh, this is this Gamera? This seems like Gamera to me.
Let me say there's a thing in next episode where it does feel where like there's a thing this episode, like the spinning shell thing.
Yeah, the spinning shell
very Gamera coded.
Yeah, that's the very specific, when it's like spinning, and it's specifically so they reveal later that these can just fly.
Yeah.
But when the spinning King Tortoise is revealed, it is skipping across the surface of the water like a skipping stone, which is so cool. I'm a very big fan, and it like skips over the ship and then drops the bombs. I liked that a lot. I thought that was fun.
Needs to be said, it is weird and unsettling that it seems the way the bombs are like excreted out of like orifices on their body.
Yes, this is Ultraman Taro again. Orifice pilled. It seems all in on like gross kaiju stuff.
Yeah.
This show, in a way that's like I don't know if it's like it's just the taste of the people involved. I'm not sure. But it's
like we said, it's the barely disguised fetish show.
Yes, this feels like the barely disguised fetish Ultraman, which is very funny. It being the one for tiny children, that's how it goes.
That's
I guess.
How it goes. I guess.
This, you know, totally spies,
true of like
etc.
totally spies.
True. Yeah. Many such cases. We get some more with like the family at home, Saori, Kenichi, and,
Yeah, I will say this. I do like it does feel weirdly enough like the show is executing on some of like the Sakata stuff in Return to Ultraman so far. Like we're still early on, like better than Return to Ultraman did. Like how we had some some decent episodes of like Ken and Jiro and like maybe a couple episodes of Aki and Jiro, but like Aki was never really present even throughout Return to Ultraman. So it was mostly like Jiro and Ken. And here we get like, I guess like in the last stretch of Return to Ultraman where like, the Sakatas basically leave the show and we get Jiro hoisted onto roll down the corner Rumiko. It feels more a bit like that. And it does feel a bit like this is like what the kind of stuff, the stuff with like Saori being around is like the stuff I would have wanted for Aki. At the very least in terms of like what her role in the plot and actually being present. Maybe not something like, there's still like, 1970s misogyny happening, but
Yes. The 1970s gender thoughts will continue.
Yeah.
This episode also kind of pays off on we were talking about the tongue bit earlier. That whole scene is like pretty good, like kind of like playing with like the spookiness of Ultraman sometimes. Monsters in the dark and like people who are like these characters who are like marked for death essentially.
Yeah. By the friendly turtle.
Yeah, by the friendly turtle, and like this whole like creepy vibe that they've got going on, and then the payoff on like it's not just the tongue. The tongue is one thing. Like the tongue focus has been documented. It's once the tongue comes back into the mouth, you see it like chomp down. They really lent in on the sound effects of the crunching. It's good. I'm a fan. This is like violent.
Yeah. Lot of kids show, but a lot of like explicit eating people of kaiju in this series.
Kids like people getting eaten,
Yeah.
I also enjoy when the guy it's like just it's proper bones crunching. It's good. There is more to talk about, but that will be once we get through the summary for the next episode, I think. Which is episode 5, continuation from the last one. Parent Star, Child Star, First Star. Featuring Kaiju's King Tortoise, Queen Tortoise, and Mini Tortoise. Taro is ejected from the tornado and escapes by drilling into the ground, while Zat braves the turtle's bombs. The last 2 survivors are then scooped up by turtle tornadoes and killed. With the revenge complete, Zat wonders where the slightly off-screen Kotaro is. He appears and explains he dug into the ground to escape the bombs. True. He did do that. Back at the base, the Zat crew observe the now peaceful turtles who seem to be sticking around. Captain Asahina wonders if relocating the eggs will move the turtles away. Moriyama comes in with a gift from Saori for Kotaro, a basket full of snacks for him and the rest of the crew, as everyone digs in and tease, haha, Kotaro has a girlfriend. Nanbara jokingly suggests giving the eggs back to the turtles in a similar kind of basket. The captain says, well, yes, now that you said it. Just as a couple of higher-ups from the Terrestrial Guard show up. The captain superior, Samajima, introduces everyone to the commander of the TG's Far East branch, a white guy named Smith. Close enough. Welcome back, Douglas MacArthur. Asahina explains the basket plan to relocate the turtles back to their home, but Smith insists that they should be destroyed. Oran Island is under his jurisdiction, and his naval forces can't cooperate as peacefully with giant turtles in those waters. When the captain and the rest of Zat protest, arguing that with the revenge complete, the turtles have become docile once again. Smith and Samajima insist things will become a bigger problem once the eggs hatch and the population grows. And besides, they're just animals, right? Captain Asahina puts his foot down regardless. He will not kill the turtles. Smith storms away, stating Zat will have to take full responsibility for whatever happens next, which Asahina accepts. Operation Basket commences and the eggs are placed in a large basket by the two turtles. Nanbara and Kitajima attempt to demonstrate to the turtles the mechanics of how they should carry the basket to no avail. So Kotaro suggests carrying the eggs with the sky whale. This works.
Does need to be stressed that like these two guys are just like who put the basket in. I was like, hey, here's how you do it.
He like does flapping motions with his hands like turtles flap. Kotaro suggests carrying the eggs with the sky whale. This works as the turtles follow behind the whale back to the island, arriving by sunset. The Zat crew see the turtles off and congratulate themselves on a job well done with a happy... No, just kidding. A TG naval force under Smith's command bombard the turtles and their eggs, ignoring Kotaro's pleas. Motherfucker, it was 5-10 minutes into the episode. You weren't getting off that easy. Queen Tortoise is able to save one egg in her mouth, but Oran Island ultimately collapses into the sea. The Zat crew can only watch in horror, and Kotaro tears up with regret. Kotaro returns home, still shaken, and is surprised by the Shiratori siblings, congratulating him on the success of Operation Basket. While they were worried Zat would kill the turtles, they are relieved they don't live under the same roof as a turtle killer. Just then, Morikawa radios in, informing Kotaro that Queen Tortoise has returned to Japan. Kotaro gets back to HQ and watches the footage of her thrashing about Tokyo. He realizes immediately that her behavior must have been a result of a brain injury caused by Smith's bombardment. Samajima arrives and demands that Zat take responsibility as promised and kill the turtle, and that they should have done so to begin with. Kotaro argues that this is the result of Smith's violent assault, but Samajima retorts that Zat brought them to the island to begin with. After observing the situation more, Captain Asahina acquiesces to Samajima's demands to take responsibility and has Zat roll out. Zat engaged the turtle with significant difficulty while the Shiratoris watch the battle. Kotaro transforms into Taro, which leads to him being hit by a chain of egg bombs. Taro retaliates with a strium beam, which causes Queen Tortoise to collapse and release the last egg she was carrying, which hatches into Mini Tortoise. Samajima orders the hatchling killed, but Taro blocks Zat. The captain himself orders a ceasefire, contrary to Samajima's demands, and the other Zat members happily pull out. As Mini Tortoise cries next to the very dead body of their mother, that's important later, Kenichi chastises Taro for definitely killing Queen Tortoise, very important. Taro attempts to comfort the hatchling, but gets bitten. Oh, and also he gets tackled by King Tortoise, who lobs the hatchling onto his back. Taro gets tossed around for a bit, and then King Tortoise hits Mini Tortoise with the magic beam of puberty. He does do this, which causes the hatchling to age up and double in size. The two turtles tag team Taro, but he thinks to himself that he cannot bring himself to attack them. With Queen Tortoise extremely dead, definitely dead, the child only has his father to rely on. The conclusion Taro eventually arrives at is to pick up Queen Tortoise's definitively dead body and push it into space for some reason. The remaining two turtles try to go after him, but Mini Tortoise doesn't know how to fly on their own, and thanks to the puberty beam, they're now too big for King Tortoise to carry on his back. Nicely done. But wait, here's Ultra 7! Appearing out of nowhere, 7 scoops up Mini Tortoise, leaving King Tortoise to fly alongside them. In space, Taro hands the turtle family, including the now very much alive Queen Tortoise, somehow, off to 7, who takes them somewhere safe. Back on Earth, Saori and Kenichi wonder where the turtle family went. Kotaro rocks up from behind and says they've gone to space, likely the Star of Ultra. There's nowhere safe for them here on Earth, but maybe out in space they can live happily. Kotaro puts his hands on the other two's shoulders and declares not to worry, the 3 of them will live peacefully forever. And I say, I wonder if that's also meant to apply to a different set of 3 characters on screen. The 3 of them are then able to see through a turtle-shaped window into the stars, the turtle family flying together happily, and wave them off, wishing them well. The end.
Yeah.
She's just alive again.
Yeah. Actually, you know what?
I believe in medical miracle.
Ultraman, thank you!
Thank you, Mel.
There you go.
As always, thank you
I
for your
think
service.
I think this is the first time we've had like an animal-based one.
Yeah, this is the first time a medical miracle has happened to a kaiju. So it's like it's completely unexplained. There is like at no point does Ultra 7 like hit the mother with a beam.
Yeah.
It's just like it's it's alive again. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
she's fine.
It's fine. It's sort of the ending to this feels a little not real. But that's okay. That's okay. Because the rest of the episode is fucking sick.
Yeah, it's a good episode.
The scene of like the ships against the sunset firing on the island is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
The flaming explosions of the eggs and then the close up on like the last egg remaining as like flames like threaten to engulf it is so cool. This is a really, really good set piece in my opinion.
This is a weird comparison. I only made just now the second, but like
okay.
It does remind me a little bit of like the Pegasa episode.
Okay.
Where we got Dan, desperately trying to tell the Pegasa, hey, please move your city out of the way or else we're going to blow you up. And it blows up. In this case, it's like different situation, whereas like Kotaro is not pushing the button and he's like, please don't do this. And he can only watch because they don't listen. And like, he feels responsible not because he pushed the button, but because he thought he was bringing them to a safe place, but like actually bringing them into their doom.
Yes. It's a good bit of drama. Him like feeling this like intense guilt over accidentally bringing them to what he thinks is their death. And then going home and getting congratulated by I can't remember this family's name.
Shiratori.
But by the Shiratori family being like, if you had killed the turtle, we would have kicked you out. It's welcome back. Congratulations on not being a turtle killer. It's good. It's good. I like his guilt over this. His like it's in terms of like this show. It's good in terms of him being like a naive hero.
Yeah.
Because it fits like the sort of like childlike view of the world, maybe, as well as like Taro's kind of like the later moment where Taro's like struggling with the idea of like I don't want to fight these things, but they're fighting me. I don't,
Yeah.
It's like Taro's a kid.
This good shot
Taro's a
that
little
I'm
baby.
gonna probably use the YouTube version, where it's just like this shot of like the transparent Taro spinning around, while in the background you see like Taro getting beaten up. He's like, I can't do this. I can't do.
Yeah,
it's good. I think it reminds me like it is kind of funny because like one of many plates that Ace tried to spin, all of them unsuccessfully. It's like there were definitely episodes where they tried to present like Ace as like the rookie and youngster
right
of the group, and
but also Ace was like the most violent.
and also was two people. I tell he wasn't two people.
Yes,
while still being a third person. So it is in some ways funny that like this episode, like Taro is like doing a second go of that. But I think
I definitely think this plays into that much
like,
better
I think
than we got it in Ace.
Because like I think like one thing, Ace has a lot of contradictory. Like I think the thing where you have Ace as the rookie hero, who is also the fusion of two people, but also all three of those people are fundamentally separate. Just makes it hard to really do that. Whereas here it's kind of like
yes,
this. It's kind of baked into the theme of the show. Like Taro being the new guy, like, but more or less literally born in the first episode, and it's about like, oh, he's the kid, he has mother still to rely on, and the naivety of Kotaro. Like, it feels like more like a Return of Ultraman situation where we maybe have like less of like the line is blurred a bit more between like Kotaro and Taro as individuals.
I definitely like as a result of like Taro being like born from Kotaro. Essentially, we have like these two. Taro feels like such an extension of him.
Yeah.
In a way that it's a good mirror. Like when he like they're both struggling with the same kind of view on what a hero does, and then encountering like this is like it's like one of baby's first. Sometimes doing the good thing can cause bad things to happen.
Yeah.
Occasionally, it's like,
and like
there are unforeseen consequences for things.
Yeah, that also sort of reminds me of like, well, first I guess like, I thought like we have Kotaro was like missing mother and like mother of Ultra as a present, so obviously all the family stuff dramatically ties into that stuff. Just like, oh yeah, maybe Taro was thinking of himself with Mini Tortoise, just like, oh man, what would I do if mommy was gone, kind of thing.
Yes. So this is another aspect of this episode, is that the turtles are a mom and dad, and they have this little kid, and at one point, this is one of the things that happens when where is it? It's when Samajima says like, oh, they're just animals. The captain's response is like, even animals have love for their child as parents. And it was at this moment I was like, okay, the worth of a creature in Taro is determined by its filial devotion, but specifically in the nuclear family model, right? Because we got the one mom and dad. If we were dealing with like animals that had like a different situation that didn't fit with the nuclear family model of what a family is, would there be as much sympathy for them? Would the show have sympathy for them? But this is kind of like general like thinking about Ultraman's continued position on gender, which is always something we're thinking about. Not necessarily like a specific knock against this episode, but I thought this was like an interesting addition to like what Taro's perspective is.
It is nice that we have like because of your pool, especially, Ace is a lot more black and white about the worth.
Yes, Choju had to be destroyed because they were the weapons of invading aliens.
And they tried to do that in the finale unsuccessfully. Like add nuance in their own weird way. And this we have at least have a case where it's like Zat doesn't necessarily see the role as exclusively like kaiju aren't in and of themselves threats.
Right.
It's interesting that is at odds with the TF generally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool.
There's an interesting like there's that sort of like underlying feeling of like with like you got Samajima and Smith, who both represent like two sections of the same idea, which is Japan's alignment with America. As we've America's influence over Japan, right? Is like as we got.
It does seem like a very intentional decision to make like the Far East branch commander like an American.
Yes.
Whereas in like other shows we've had like similar positioned guys who are Japanese.
Mm-hmm. And I think the specific dynamic of having like Smith is like the guy who's kind of like higher up in like the what's it called, the TF, Terrestrial Defense Force or something.
It's No, it's TG. It's Terrestrial Guard.
Terrestrial Guard. There we go. So yeah, he's higher up in the TG, and like Samajima's like kind of like do as like the go between, as like he's like it's like this idea of like Japanese higher ups as patsies for American further higher ups. Which, you know, has its like underlying, you know, feelings of like, you know, whether that's like coming from feelings of like like nationalism or anything like that, is, you know, that's the nationalism, the latent nationalism of a lot of, you know, shows like this.
There is definitely,
it's in there, it's fine.
Because of like Japan's position, and also, you know, probably because it wasn't the Soviets that occupied Japan, it was America. There's like Japan's relationship with the anti-American sentiment towards American, like anti-American imperialism, like Japan's relationship with that tends to be like wrongfully portraying themselves as like victims of American imperialism, and like, oh, we feel liberal. It ends up like their vision of what quote unquote Japanese liberation for America means it inevitably means to Japan not being like a subordinate imperialist power to broader American hegemony, and instead being in Japan and once again being its own imperial power.
Yes, like it's the thing where like there are legitimate grievances, like, you know, there was an occupation. There was horrific shit happening, and you know, especially we talk about like the history of Okinawa, but it's
no, I don't want to get to that yet because I want to bring back to them again. But I will say, because because you know Brad was not here, I did the writer director stuff. Knowing who the writer for this episode is, I'm going to be more forgiving of that stuff. A little background.
Oh, okay.
But just
it can't be King Joe. It can't be Tetsuo King Joe. He's dead.
Is he dead yet? I don't know if he's dead yet.
I don't know.
I think he died. I think he died 79, but also he's not. He hasn't returned.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I guess just like the looping back around like with the gossip point, and like, you know, again like the similar point with like also the Marucci episode where it's like Ultraman can save the day but not including saving.
Yes.
And in this case, like Kotaro Ultraman can only sit in the cockpit of his plane as like these innocent turtles are like blasted by you know.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's like thinly veiled US Navy.
Yeah, very, very thinly veiled. It's a great shot because it's like these far off ships that like are never like in focus. They're just kind of like silhouetted against the sun, and it's like this sense of like distant power. Like they don't have to be anywhere near. Like the whole like in comparing it to the Pith Helmet guys, where they're like in close trying to like do like big game hunter stuff, like, you know, like, yeah, we're gonna hit it with the anesthetic shot and the net, and then we're gonna take it back to civilization, and then this where it's just like,
remember the Gamora episode?
I do remember the Gamora episode. My primary memory of the Gamora episode is that it opens on a scene of Arashi reading a really big, like, thick book, and I'm like, no, he's not. He's looking at the pictures.
he's the guy who would go, I'm reading for the articles. You're like, oh, you're
not. No. Where's the shot? It's not Arashi. It's I need the pic of is it Furuhashi he plays in
Furuhashi is the guy he plays.
Yeah, I need the picture of him like peeking over the copy of Motorboating magazine. But yeah, it's this far off ships just like pushing buttons, the firing from very, very far away, and not just destroying like eggs and like trying to kill kaiju, but obliterating the island, just sinking it. It's crazy.
Yeah, and just like the stencil reason is like, that's my jurisdiction, and my ships can't patrol properly with those big turtles, so I want them gone.
Yeah,
And it's just like
it's this like
it's like-
inconvenient. Get it out of
I
here.
don't know if it's a subtitle thing or if it's on the Japanese, but it's like he specifically says we can't patrol peacefully.
Exactly.
And
yes.
it's just like the juxtaposition of that phrasing with what he does is like.
Hmm.
I like. There's interesting directorial choices I think in the show where like before the ships start firing, like the immediate moment where they start firing, you get like jump cuts of the ships in like Smith's face, and it's neat.
Yes, it's like very rapid. Yeah,
Um,
and like him specifically giving the order to fire.
you know what I like?
Mhm.
When a show has like consistent ideas and themes and stick to it makes it cohesive and like it's trying to say something.
We've got 6 episodes in a row where Kotaro is the same guy in every episode, and it's like about like the same thing broadly, in terms of like how he's approaching being Ultraman.
Like
It's good.
it's like you said, like Ace is a particular kind of like disaster that's hard to replicate, but it is
Yes.
easy to feel like even knowing the show would have been like a more solid footing, like it might just be like still like a case of like the franchise spinning its wheels. So the fact that like we are like at the very least we're still like only two batches in, so we're waiting to see how like the rest of the show goes. But like it is nice that like we're just finding a lot of stuff to enjoy in the show.
Hmm.
Even if like like last week the 2-parter we did was like we didn't have as much to say about it because it wasn't there, but it's like a fun time, and this was really fun.
Yeah,
It's good when the shows are good.
it's good. Did you know, listener? It's good when the shows are good. It creates good podcast. What else is going on in this episode?
Yeah, I mean, it is funny that like the show does ultimately take the good aiming route of like, well, Ultraman can actually save them.
Yeah. There's definitely like what I would describe as a. Now here's the thing. On the one hand, it's nice to get to be like Ultraman is gonna save them. They're gonna save them for real.
Yeah.
It's nice, but it's a little bit of a pull punch that the mother isn't dead forever.
Yeah.
I think doing the space ending with King Tortoise and Mini Tortoise going into space, and Queen Tortoise being dead,
Yeah.
I think is maybe better.
Yeah.
As like something to sit with, like
Yeah.
something for Kotaro to like think about is, I am a turtle killer. I did kill that turtle.
Yeah.
I like it when the hero is guilty about things. Is me
Which is
and
ostensibly what the CPO's episode of Ultraman is about.
yes, me and AG shaking hands, being like, Catholic guilt makes shows so good.
If there's one thing that of all Toku franchises, this one should have it. Should have it
Exactly.
more.
Yes. Dan had so much of it. Dan
That's
kills so
why-
many aliens.
That's why Ultra 7 is the best show we've seen so far.
He killed so many aliens that he didn't want to. Like, Ultraman has that one episode where he regrets, and it's a
if he
really
didn't kill
good
him
episode.
himself, he's like acquaintances with people who did. In a working relationship with those people.
The non-Mal episode is so... Tetsuro Kinjo, truly Kingjo. Anyway, shame we're never getting another episode.
Yeah, just...
What was his last episode again?
It was the Nepo Baby Kushida poison gas episode.
Oh, that was also a good episode.
Yeah.
Ah.
He was like, I'm going to write my
man.
last Ultraman episode specifically about poison
Like
gas,
a recent...
poison
yeah.
gas accident in Okinawa.
Yeah. It's almost like I have a very specific perspective and an agenda.
It's very interesting, just like the way that Ultraman, like perhaps with accents, demonstrates. Well, here's how like colonized people take a different perspective on things than like the colonizers. in the writing.
Yes, just by having both on the team.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like it's certainly like not in the way that the franchise story is told. It doesn't seem like that because that's not the story of like Okinawa / Ryukyu that Japan tells itself for its people.
Mm-hmm.
Like they I brought this up before, but one thing that presumably, if it gets subs, we'll watch many years in the future is like they did like.
By the way, listener, this subject is relevant to the episode because we destroyed a little island. This is relevant. Please continue.
Yeah, it is relevant. But yeah, there's a docudrama, which seems to be one area of Super Ultraman stuff that needs some subtitle. That's not.
Okay.
But there's one in 2022 release called Futari no Ultraman, which I guess translates to the Two Ultraman. It's a docudrama about Tetsuo Kinjo and Shozo Uehara. And it's supposed to be like, oh, here's the two Okinawan men who helped write Ultraman.
One of them's ultra black and one of them's ultra white, and they fight Zakena.
And he was like, this is made to commemorate the handover of Okinawa back from the US to Japan. And it's like, to me, where I'm like, well, listen, that's your calling.
I don't think Mr. Kinjo. I don't think King Joe would be very. I think he'd have feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. I would need to look at the history, but I think I remember reading somewhere recently. But it is an area I should research more. The people of the Ryukin, so-called Okinawa, did vote to return to Japan under the assumption that the Americans would leave, and then it just didn't.
That sounds right. That sounds like the kind of compromise decision that you'd vote for, and that sounds like the kind of result that you'd get.
But it's like Okinawa is a different kind of colony than Hokkaido, but they're both colonies at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Which does always make it awkward when I watch a Japanese show and they're like, "Oh man, I love going to Hokkaido and having the crab there," and I'm like, "That's go away, get off that."
A very very interesting.
I say, of course, being on Soul Man myself. But...
Yes.
very interesting. You need to make sure I'm don't want to be accused of throwing stones at glass houses.
A very interesting sort of warped version of this was when I was playing Dragon Quest XI and got to the place that's very clearly supposed to be Okinawa beach coded, and then I get there and the English localization is someone says aloha and I go no. No.
The thing is, it is kind of very similar. You can understand why for a localizer making.
Yes, I understand exactly why they made the decision. Unfortunately, I know what Okinawa is, and my brain goes, no.
Yeah, but also, obviously, Hawaii's also a continent. So.
Yes.
So there's a lot of similarities you could draw from it.
Yeah. Anyway, what was this? Is okay. There is some. What was I going to talk about? Yes. This is now that we've had Ultraman Ace's speech. The Ultraman writers have been like, "That's what we're supposed to be writing about." Oh shit! and now that's what we're getting.
Yeah.
So maybe they will keep doing that from now on. Yeah. Maybe they'll fuck up. Maybe they'll. I'm waiting.
I'd be curious to see because I don't remember as much about the 90s 2000 shows. That's been a while. I'd be curious to see if once we get to those seasons, because that interpretation of Ultraman is what people are kind of grown up on and being told this is what Ultraman is, and they're coming in to write the shows as like people who grew up. Like that stuff starts actually being more present in those shows.
I
as opposed to like
I expect that's the
as
case.
opposed to these shows where it just feels like they're lying. Especially because like I think it's
it
just,
does feel like it does feel like propaganda about Ultraman
Yeah. Because I do think like there is like a
within the show Ultraman.
the combination of just sort of like the politics of Japan at the time, and also just like these shows are kind of like born out of a pulp sci-fi space and superhero, Cold War, alien stuff, etc. Stuff that kind of leads to black and white narratives, with some occasional like
Yeah.
more nuanced episodes, and like maybe like there is like we'll reach a point where like societal understanding, both societal norms and also just like what the writers coming on to believe about the franchise itself changes it, so it's not necessarily Old Testament shit happening with Ultraman.
So this is funny because earlier you were talking about how because Japan got occupied by America instead of the Soviets, and I was like for like 5 seconds, fully knowing that this isn't how history works. That I was like, man, what if though? And then all anime would actually be communist.
Yeah. Now you could no.
Communist anime.
I mean,
Which is not anime wouldn't happen. Not quite like that.
yeah, it'd be a fundamentally different thing. Like animation would
It'd be
still
fun.
happen,
It wouldn't.
but, like,
It
the
wouldn't.
culture
It wouldn't
would be
start
different.
from like Disney love.
Yeah. It is funny
Anyway.
that like the Soviets declare war on Japan, and then like take all of Manchuria in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
so
sometimes you just own a motherfucker. So sometimes you're just like, nah, bitch, sit down. Listen. Once the turnaround happened in Russia, the Red Army was simply locked in, like completely.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was episode 5.
So you're right. Did you like this episode?
I did.
Yeah.
I like these episodes. I thought they were good. I had a good time.
Yeah.
Now, an episode that isn't quite as good.
No, wait.
Is hilarious.
We gotta.
Oh, yes. Who wrote them? Who made them?
Yeah. Turns out all that stuff was relevant because the writer is Shozo Uehara.
Oh, he's okay. We haven't talked about him in a while.
Yeah. He left really early on in Ace, like around just before the retool. So.
Yeah.
And also, presumably he's in busy with a Writer and stuff because he's
he's one of the Okinawan guys, right?
As he talks about, like he's one of the 2 Ultramen.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah.
He did write the Marucci episode. That is important.
Oh, that's right, he did. Man, Ultraman's great when it's written by real ones.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, who made these episodes the other way? Who like directed them?
The director is Yasuo Yoshino. I don't know if he's a guy. I don't keep track of this stuff, obviously. That's Brad's jurisdiction. So if this is a new person, presumably they're going to direct more episodes, and Brad can do it by later. Special Effects director is Kiyoshi Suzuki, who I do have a bio on. Hiccups. They started working at Toho part-time during their university years, then joined Super Rad Productions in 1964. They were on the special effects and cinematography team for Ultra Q, Ultraman, Ultra 7, and Operation Mystery.
Hell yeah.
And the gap between sort of like Operation Mystery and Return of Ultraman, they're working freelance, but then after Return of Ultraman started, they came on to Super Eye once again. And it seems like they kind of stayed that way. I don't know if they died yet. It doesn't seem like it. But I can go check that later. But he does seem to be like working on Super Eye stuff for a good while into the 80s. And then after the 80s, he seems to mostly work on in a producer role for Ultraman movies specifically, which is really weird in terms of pigeonholing. But it does seem like his credits on to shift to, oh yeah, if there's an Ultraman movie, he's a producer on it.
I see.
But yeah, that's him.
Alright.
And then all of the turtles are designed by Yoshio Suzuki.
Cool. Sick.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to talk about episode 6?
Yes.
Jewels are a monster's meal. Let me take a drink. Okay. It's Saori's birthday, but it's Saori's birthday eve, and Kotaro gives her a gift a night early. It's a set of talismans from Egypt, one large necklace and two small ones, along with some instructions written in hieroglyphs. Kotaro explains he got them from an old woman while traveling overseas, and that the talismans are meant to protect those who wear it. While I wonder what Killmonger would say about this, Saori quite happily accepts. Kenichi is able to get the two smaller ones for himself, with the second meant to be for a friend of his on the condition that he heads to bed and brushes his teeth. The friend in question is Pochi the dog, who is actually rather distressed by this. Saori goes to the window to check on Pochi's barking and finds a giant slug which she knocks on the ground. As everyone heads to bed, the strange slug shoots acid at Pochi, killing and dissolving him. I can't believe they killed Pochi the dog. What the hell? My note that I have here is just, did that dog just die?
That was it took me until the end of the episode to realize, oh, he's just dead.
Listener, if you haven't watched the episode, just wait until you find out how we realize that dog is definitely dead. It's really funny. The slug then eats the talisman before using its acid spray to enter the house. In Kenichi's room, the slug dissolves the trash bin before moving towards the talisman around Kenichi's neck. The next morning, Kenichi argues with Saori, believing she stole the pendant now. She stole the pendant that is now gone missing. Kotaro is the only one to notice that that something melted the bin and also put a hole in the wall. Kenichi insists that when he threw out the talisman's instructions the previous night, the bin was fine. So they follow the trail outside and find the melted collar of Pochi on the ground. That dog is fucking dead. The dog is fucking dead. Realizing that he is nowhere to be found, Kenichi laments that something happened to him after putting on the talisman. Yes, something happened to him. He died. Upon hearing this, Kotaro takes the instructions to be translated at Zat HQ. The text says that in the past, the talismans were indeed good luck, but the arrival of Jirenma, a demon that grows by eating the stones on the night of the full moon, made them cursed. There's also something in there about it becoming gigantic and destroying a city. If something about the light, the text is damaged here, but it's probably nothing to worry about. Kitajima immediately concludes Jirenma must be the cause of last night's incident. And hey, last night was the full moon, wasn't it? While Nanbara dismisses this, after all, Zat believes in science. Aragaki thinks they need to investigate all the same. Zat sans Nishida head over to the Shiratori residence.
Yeah, because Nishida had curry that night.
Yeah, Nishida had curry that night, so he has to stay behind. The rest of the team investigates the scene. Upon investigating the drain pipe, it disintegrates, so the pieces are gathered for testing. Kitajima suggests collecting the talisman from Saori as well, and is distraught to hear that Kotaro is the one who brought it to Japan. The two argue over whether Jirenma is real, but regardless, Saori refuses to hand it over. Rather, she insists the pendant is unrelated to everything, and by holding onto it, she can prove it. Aragaki decides it's better not to push her too far and has the team pull out, but asks Kotaro to stay behind and guard Saori in case something happens while the chemical tests are being run. No sooner than the others have left, than Kotaro hears a shout from the garden. It's the giant slug. Kotaro, without hesitation, jumps on the slug in an attempt to squash it, and instead falls down on his ass. Undeterred, he shoots it with a laser beam, which immediately makes it grow to kaiju size. Something light. It was to do with lasers. Now there's a slug kaiju rampaging in the neighborhood, and the two have to book it. Kotaro tries to ward it away with his gun before trying to escape with Saori underground into the basement of a nearby building. Jirenma melts the building to try and get into the basement. Kotaro realizes the pendant is the target and asks Saori to throw it away, but she does not believe it and does not want to discard her birthday gift no matter what, especially if it's because of some legend. Just then, Jirenma's tongue burrows into the basement, tongue-pilled, causing the ceiling to collapse on her. Kotaro is picked up by the tongue and jostled around, but is freed when Zat arrives and blasts on the kaiju. Kotaro informs Aragaki of the kaiju's identity, so he drops napalm on it, which doesn't actually do anything. He just drops napalm on the city. Kotaro asks one more time for her to throw the talisman, but Saori runs towards the kaiju to prove it will protect her. Kotaro slaps her, telling her not to be so reckless with her life. Saori pushes back and explains her reasoning. If the pendant really is the one from the legend, then Kotaro fucked up big time, and she doesn't want that to cause problems for him. Kotaro appreciates this, but he insists he has to clean up his own messes, starting with killing that kaiju. He takes the pendant, and then they both get buried in building debris. Kotaro transforms and places an unconscious Saori carefully on a bench before taking on Jirenma. The battle rages, but Taro is eventually weakened by the acid spray. Zat responds by spraying Taro with a powerful alkaline spray to neutralize it. Hear that, kids? You're learning real science today. This stuff must be pretty strong, because Taro is now completely immune to the acid spray and proceeds to do the beatdown, performing the Ultraman staple of dismembering before Jesus beaming. Back at home, Saori is on crutches, but she tries to show off to the two boys that she can move without it. With the kaiju dead, Kotaro returns the pendant to Saori to wear, and that's not all. From behind the corner, Kotaro calls out to their new companion, a brand new, completely different dog that is also named Pochi. This is extremely normal behavior. The end. Not a minute of grief over the old Pochi. Not 1 second.
This is on the level of okay. This is not my read of that particular episode, but this is mostly at the level of Aki and Ken have died and then go immediately as Christmas with the girl down the corner.
Yes. This is ludicrous. The dog died. The dog died, and instead, when he said, and I got something else as well, I was fully expecting him to call Pochi, and the original Pochi would come back and reveal that it was alive all along.
But like
no. It's a new dog to replace the dead Pochi that died.
To replace the same dog that is one named the same and two is a different breed. Which I don't know is worse or better than I just bring the same breed again.
Oh man, no, that would be weirder. That would truly reach Simpsons levels of like the snowball, the cats. Yeah, Snowball keeps dying.
I remember that episode.
Yeah. Man, this is such a funny ending.
I'm glad we have like at least some of that unhinged Ultraman magic in this, because like what the fuck?
Absolutely, it's the essential spice that makes Ultraman special. Is sometimes it reaches a conclusion that is truly bizarre and not normal. Like you should. If I was advising someone who was writing this, I would say, don't do it. But now that I have it and I'm watching it, I'm like, yes, fantastic. This is so perfect.
I want to say that Ultraman probably gets more normal going on, but we have seen Blazer.
And
the bracelets?
Ultraman's still got it. Ultraman's still got it, baby. Yeah, we're making a dad anime about a dad, and he loves his kids. Does he ever see them? Fuck no, he doesn't want to say goodbye. He leaves in the middle of the night. I'm like a parent. Yeah, this is a incredible ending. The other major feature of this episode, obviously, we have to talk about is woman slapping. Woman slapping is returned.
I need to make a comment on this because the next episode preview, from episode 5
Yes!
and 6.
Yes.
It shows a different cut of that slap like 4 times. I'm like, does he slap her 4 times? No, they just for some reason padded out the next episode preview with him slapping the same shot.
I was completely waiting for like the most abhorrent shit. I was like so braced that when it was one slap, my brain was like, "Oh, that's okay."
Just like that's how they let you have it. It's like, this is how negotiation works. But like,
they that's how they get you.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we scared you with 4, but like, cause it's just 1, it's just normal.
Exactly. Yeah, one
I mean,
slap, that's okay.
Hideki did it once.
Hideki did it once. This is so obviously this is we're still doing you can slap a woman. This is fairly like I would call this like of the this is like a miscommunication type. This is supposed to communicate like this is these two of like there's like a breakdown in communication between the two of them rather than it being kind of like sometimes it's like incidental, sometimes it's like kind of just like he's just mad at her over something. But this is like a miscommunication between the two that like I don't like the slapping. I do like the reveal on like why this conflict has developed, why she doesn't want to give up the thing.
If I was to rate this on a scale of slaps, it is probably better as more of a wake you out of your senses slap than like a discipline slap.
Like she's about to run like straight to her death. This is like a and he's like, hysterical woman, slap. And then she's like, I'm not hysterical. I actually have a motivation, which is I'm trying to protect you. And then he's like, oh no. Sorry. And I think that kind of that reveal works.
Like it makes her look better than like the rest of the episode where it just feels like
she's just being stupid.
Yeah, she's just being like unhinged, and really she's like, well, no, I don't want this to look badly on you, so I'd like to prove that like this isn't your fault. And I kind of like that. Like I don't like the execution maybe as much, but like
it's we're watching TV from the 70s that has Ultraman does not have a good track record with women. So
what I do really like is Kotaro jumping on the slug and then eating it.
It's really, they didn't have a second take on it, I guess, because it's just like it looks like a mistake. It looks like that wasn't supposed to happen. Is how they've shot it.
It's just fucking fun. It's really good. I posted the when I retweeted it for anyone who like to the podcast. I don't want to see it, but yeah, it's really fucking. It's really fucking good. And he shoots with later, and he wrote more tongue acts in this episode. It's tongue season.
I'm always saying this. It's always tongue season. Listeners, it's always tongue season.
I don't co-sign this.
There's a fixation on tongues in this show. There is, what else do we have in this episode? Yeah, it's weird how much of this episode got completely superseded in my brain by the moment the new dog was revealed. Like everything else fell out of my brain.
It is weirdly enough like the most absurd and noticeable thing of the episode. Outside of like the slug.
It's like more it's hilarious.
I do wonder if I'm
this
starting
is a go for it.
I do wonder if I'm starting to get a sense of the guys a bit more.
I think I can distinguish between the three. Yeah. I think I know which one Nishida is. I think I know which one Nanbara is, and I guess that means I know which one the third guy is. I know who the lieutenant is and I know who the captain is.
You know, Kitajima. I think him and Nanbara
Yeah.
take turns being the goofball.
Mm-hmm.
In different ways.
There's a lot of good goofball moments in these 3 episodes. I really like when one of them suggests that, the turtles have hired aliens.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
I don't know how you feel about this captain, but Aragaki is cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's just good at his job.
Yeah, he's got a sense of competence, and I like his authority.
I guess if I had to get, I feel like it's after we got Ryu, having Asahina, the current captain, as like a more laid back guy, is a nice change of pace. But I think like Aragaki brings some of that Ryu energy, while being able to take a second fan, which I think is nice.
Yeah. And we need a little Ryu energy around here.
Yeah.
That man was so good.
Yeah,
I was a big fan.
I mean he's the narrator, but like he's not the same.
No, I obviously I'm not keen on that episode where he's like where his apartment is revealed, but when the like strange woman appears on his doorstep and is like, "Do you need a maid?" and he's like, "I live in like a 2-bedroom apartment by myself. What are you talking about? Leave me alone." It's like, "I don't need a maid," and she's like, "This is you causing me great distress," and he's like, "Am I? No."
He's also how do you know how do you know I'm the TAC captain? It's confidential.
Yeah, how do you know? How do you know I live? How did you know I live here? Where'd you get this address? How do you know who I am?
I think the other funny line in the episode when he's like, "Speaking of Virgo, I saw a woman today."
Oh yeah. man, Ultraman Ace could have had it.
It flashes a bit at times, but
yeah, it just needed guiding hand.
I do feel it more and more as time goes on. Like, it really did feel like even when we were like engaged and a show was like in the good half, it still like did feel a bit like weaker. In ways like I couldn't articulate, but also is like I also think partly because like I knew what was coming, that like I wanted to give it more rope in that first half than maybe it deserved.
I think someone I know is watching Ace right now and is liking it much more than I did, but is reminding me of a couple of pretty good episodes.
Okay.
In that, reminding me how high I was on the episodes where we actually got rid of the Yapul and then like the immediate follow up. I really liked those two.
Yeah, it might also just be that like I'm also just like do the opposite, where like because I don't like the second half, I'm like looking back lower on the first half.
Yeah.
It's weird because
I'm still never gonna be Ace Defender. It's not
maybe it's a bit of both, the column A, column B, where like me being soured makes me less terrible the first half, but also I can recognize that I was probably like less into the first half than I like told myself it was. Because I feel like I theoretically like the Black Pigeon episode a lot for being ridiculous, but also it wasn't as good as similar episodes in other shows.
Yeah. Who
we're talking
made
about good
this
show.
episode? Who made episode 6 of this show?
Yes. The writer is Shigemitsu Taguchi, so head writer of this show. The director is Masanori Kake. Teledirect director is Koichi Kawakita. And Drenma is Yoshio Suzuki.
Nice.
Very straightforward.
Excellent. All right. Do we have anything more to say about episode 6?
Well, it wasn't racist.
It wasn't racist. It wasn't that racist.
Maybe
it wasn't
it's not
really racist. It was just kind of it was there's some misogyny. We're known Tomino fans. We can't really talk shit. you know, were the old anime there be women slapping. Tomino protagonists, they be slapping women.
Judo's better than that. He punches the right thing.
Who was that? Sorry.
Judo.
Oh, judo's better than that. To be honest, you know what? Shozama. He's doing okay. Zabungle guy, even, you know, he slaps some women. That happens. It's, you know. Anyway. That might be all we have to say about the Ultraman this week.
Yeah.
Other than, do you have some color timers?
I do.
Go for it.
Episode 4, 2 minutes, 31 seconds. But that continues into episode 5 for additional 30 seconds, which all it is 3 minutes and 1 second. Then we have the fight at the end, which is 6 minutes, 3 seconds.
All right.
Really over
Sick.
this time.
Yeah.
And episode 6 is 3 minutes, 29 seconds. Also, the medical miracle counters at 16.
Yep. We finally got another medical miracle. Been a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. If that is the show,
We got emails.
Do we have any emails? Yeah. Okay.
First off, we have Aaron again from last week.
Hello.
They say, hello again. Just listen to the first Taro episode. I know you're probably thinking, didn't he say in the last email that he was only in the middle of Ultra 7? All I can say is Ultraman is a hell of a drug. At this point, I'm in a little Leo. Well,
oh my god.
Holy shit.
No. Oh my god. Take a break. Take a week out, and then come back. You know, come back.
That's how I felt like watching Gundam in 2020. I mean, I was a bit like this with Ultraman in 2022 as well, but you know. I don't think it gives too much away to say that you're totally right about the direction the series is coming up, but also you'll never release some of the things that happen. Can't wait for your reactions now that I'm ahead of you and know what's coming up.
Excellent. That's good to know.
They also say, like you guys, I'm also really interested in horror theory and balance and wondering, what would it cost to sub that? I literally have no idea about that stuff. I would think that AI video transcription makes that a lot easier, even if it might not be as perfect as a real translator. Then they say in parentheses, I'm an avowed AI hater, but use video transcription at work a lot, and so I can't deny it as some good use cases. That's something I'm actually not sure about, because my gut instinct is no.
Yeah,
like
I'm gonna win. Nah,
like
that's not us.
Yeah, like on one hand, I'm like machine translation. Obviously, you don't want to use for like subs, but like that's like a different thing than like AI, and it's like not harmful.
Oh yeah, there's a distinction to be made between those two things.
But
both of them aren't ideal.
Yeah.
One of them is bad to a much higher degree.
I guess the question is like, I'm not sure how much AI transcription is using the AI that we're talking about that's evil, or it's just like a different, like, it's just like, you know, because the AI is being applied to like.
This is such a frustrating thing right now. Is the term AI referring to like different things that are different levels of like machine translation's been around for much longer than generative AI. And
like I don't know enough about what the transcription is doing to like make a comment on that, because I'm like, in the ideal case, if it's like a machine translation thing where it's like, I think the ideal for me would be like, it takes the Japanese audio and produces Japanese text, and then the translator takes that Japanese text and then translates it. But even then, I'm assuming it's not perfect. That's what the things are now. And like,
let me tell you, even in terms of just like subs for this show, Ultraman, there is the copy I have has 2 sets of subs, one of which works better on Officer. Turn off this podcast for a second. One of those subs works better on MPV. It's also larger, but it has spelling mistakes because I believe it has like done some kind of like like visual. There's been some kind of like automated like visual transition of things. So like SOS became 808.
Yeah, I've seen that
because
like
because S looks a bit like 8.
Yeah, because I think because I've used those Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And they are like based on the official Mill Creek ones.
Yes.
And like the smaller subs are formatted in the file like a graphic. And the bigger ones are like trying to, I think, extract the text from those graphics to make actual text
Yes.
in like a format, but it isn't perfect.
Yes. The solution for me is to just use VLC and use the first subs.
Yeah.
Because that means they don't stick.
But yeah,
around
that's like the thing that's tricky because I'm like, there's two things that we have subs for. One of them is Father Voltq, and the other is Mirror Man Reflex, and both of them seem to have used OpenAI's Whisper as like an audio transcription thing. And like,
we take a stand against that.
Yeah, like on one hand, it's like, well, this is the only thing that exists, but on the other hand, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable. Like, can we ethically cover that if like it sucks? Like, you know,
I think it's the right choice for the podcast to not cover that, just because it's like I don't want to endorse this.
Yeah, and like it helps that they're not essential.
I don't want people going to find this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like that's what most fans are going to be doing. But like, I don't want to like endorse it myself. So that's like, thankfully, those things are like a lot less essential. Like, I'd like to cover those things, but like,
there are terrible subs out there for things that are essential.
Yes, one of my people I know from my old friends group is trying to draw attention to the fact that one show that's 2 seasons away is the only subs that exist are kind of horrendous, and it's making me a bit anxious around how we're gonna cover that. Especially because, like, well, it doesn't seem like there's going to be an alternative in the foreseeable future.
I mean, yeah, this is a conversation to have like off.
Yeah, like we're not gonna have this conversation in this episode, especially because Brad isn't here. But like, it is like a thing you have to think about.
Let's talk about it right now. Let's make a decision right now. Brad has to stick with us.
Yeah. But yeah, for specific context, the show after Leo, the Ultraman is called the Star Ultraman.
It's the animated
series by Sunrise. It's a mainline Showa show that happens to be an anime. And happens
the subs are fucking terrible.
Only has really crapsticks official subs. And because it's an awkward spot where because it is licensed, fan subbers don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
Even factoring in the bias fan subbers already have towards Rider versus Ultraman, which maybe, you know, the official licensing of Ultraman probably like maybe contributes that a little bit too. But also, you know, it's always been like the Toei stuff has always been more popular stuff than Ultraman. And he's like he's just, it's complicated because I think it's like important, and I don't want to skip that show. But also, if it's too bad, then it's like a problem. But and you know, for his part, Sergio said, well, it's fine, but that's just his one person's opinion, and like there's other opinions out there, and like that's the thing where also maybe like, you know, maybe people who have like opinions on this can read in. Like you, particular Aaron, seem to be chugging along ahead. So if you get to like that show after Leo, maybe you can like scout ahead and see how you feel. But yeah, that's a serious concern for us right now because like presumably next summer that's a show we'd cover, and yeah, ideally I like to do it in release order in the context of this time because you know it's, you know, the from my understanding of the history, like the show Ultraman 80 was made in reaction to the success of that show. So I'd like to.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to more of that.
That is annoying.
Yeah, like it's important. It's important to cover just because it's like an anime, not Tokyo show. It's like still like in a mainline entry of the show era. That's important to cover, and like it being in the state it is. It's like, imagine if like there's, well, I mean, this was the case for a lot of Gundam shows, like made like Victory and Double Zeta had like bad subs for a long time before they got officially subbed, and like just like it's frustrating, and really up in the air, and like there isn't really an easy answer. But at least we have like half a year to think about it. But like it's still like it's important to raise attention to it now, sooner rather than later. And like, the show is getting like a new HD remastered Blu-ray in Japan, which some people think, well, maybe there's a chance for Mill Creek to release a new set, new subs, and like, yeah, I guess that could happen, but who knows, right? Like,
yeah, I'm sat here like doubt.
Like, I'm on the side of, well, it'd be nice, but I can't guarantee that realistically. And this is what we have, and we'll probably have for the good foreseeable future. And so we'll see. Things could develop in the future, but we'll see. But it's worth calling attention to it. And if anyone listening to the show happens to have opinions of that in the next few months, just let us know as well. It's worth hearing what there's people watching the show think or listening along think. But we'll see how it goes because I do want to cover it.
Yeah.
They are just going to say, we just think if you get to do some estimates on costs for that and other stuff in the copy list, maybe can seriously consider that. I'm appreciate the sentiment, but also depending on I'm not going to, I don't know necessarily know estimates because different translators have different fees.
Different rates, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously they need to be paid for the labor because it's hard and intensive, but also it does get pretty pricey pretty fast. For what research I've done, a lot of them are $3 to $5 per minute is the kind of range that's understandable, which it adds up. If you're trying to do the Ultra 7 I loved is a 2-part docudrama series where each one is an hour and a half. And the Ultraman, the anime, is a 50-episode show. So I can't do that myself, definitely. That's some real crowdfunding shit. Obviously, I don't want to condone it if it's if the transcription in this case is using OpenAI. If it's fun, yeah, if it's OpenAI, that's definitely a no-no. And if it's something else, I would have to do research into what the fuck that is to be comfortable with the ethics of it. And even then, it's not it's going to be perfect.
Yeah, and my sort of default position is I don't do machine. I don't really engage with. I don't do machine translated stuff.
Yeah,
even
I'm using
even
Bell
just
for
there's
the
I was very, very mad. I was very annoyed when I watched Lodos and then went to go find out there are some fan translations of of the novels, and then I look them up. It's it's all just it's all just kind of cleaned up machine translation. I'm I'm good.
Me going and using DeepL to read the Japanese wiki for trivia is not the ideal thing, honestly, but it's fine.
That's a different, it's a slightly different thing.
It's definitely irresponsible to this is a translation of a Japanese work and it's machine translation. It's at best case the sentences are readable, but you lose a lot and it's clunky, and you just need a proper human translator at the end of the day. So. But yeah, it's okay. It's messy right now, and it's a weird spot because it does feel this mainline show is probably the higher priority compared to the other ancillary stuff that we still obviously want subbed and ideally would do in release order, but I'm kind of already made a piece of it. It's stuff that we'll probably, if we need to look around to.
Anyway, we have talked about this to death now.
Yeah. It's good to put out there. We're not gonna make any decisions about it, but it's just to just have it out on the table for people. Because there's a lot to think about. But yeah, thank you once again for your email. I'm glad you're liking the show.
Thank you for your email. And slow down on the Ultraman.
Yeah,
for the love of God, you're gonna hurt yourself.
If you do get to that next show after Leo, let us know how it is on your end. But it'll be important to know for next year. And then one more email, shorter, by Crossing.
Go for it.
They say, welcome back from our break. I guess episode Taro remember as a kid. Episode 4 to 5 stick out as memorable episodes. Tragedy of the Taurus as their home was destroyed is very crunchy. They say, apparently, goodbye Shoto Uehara for the foreseeable future. It seems like this is his last episode. I didn't know this.
Goodbye Okinawa. What the hell?
Yeah, I'd have to look up the stuff about him like leaving the franchise.
They're both gone.
Honestly. We can do like a more thorough look at it later, but I'm just gonna look on Ultraman Rookie. Those are her. I mean, well, I mean, obviously at this point, like, you know, Super Sentai appears off, so he's gonna be busy with that for a while. But,
oh right, he's okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. This is his last. These were his last episodes of the show era for Ultraman.
Damn. Okay.
So he's going.
Won't be seeing him for a while.
He's over in the Toei mines for a long time.
They sound like mines.
Yeah.
It's, you know, Toei seem busy.
Yeah, that's why they're always fighting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so this is a question. Yeah.
Shoot.
Since it is Super Eye's 10th anniversary show, what do you think they're going to add to Taro?
A 10th anniversary show. What are they going to add to Taro?
Now, my default thing would be, well, they're going to celebrate the franchise, but bring back some characters, but they've already been doing that since Ace, so that's like this is just the franchise at the moment, so it doesn't really count. So I'm not really sure.
They should show us the M78 Nebula.
Yeah, I do think
they should show us the Land of Light.
We could get some like classic guys from older shows as like a returning appearance.
Yeah,
like how we got like a Bolton Jr. or Metron Jr. Like we can already get something like that.
Mm-hmm. We get Bolton Jr.
Bolton the Third.
Bolton the Third.
Bolton Fantasy. I don't know. There's probably like a bunch of classic guys from like Ultraman and Ultra 7 they can bring back. Yeah, that's the thing. I can't imagine like stuff for Taro besides just like, oh yeah, they brought back some more guys and they're from Ultraman. Like I can't. They're probably not gonna bring back someone from like fucking Ultraman Operation Mystery or whatever.
They could bring back Ultra Q guys.
Yeah, I mean I could do that. I mean,
okay. Here's what they're adding to Ultraman Taro. They are adding Punished Ide. At last, the promised Punished Ide is here. He's rebelled against human society. He is cultivating kaiju like he's Shogo Makishima. From Psycho-Pass. There we go. That's what we're getting.
Definitely. In the show for
I'm putting
kids.
money on it. I'm putting exactly 80 pence on it.
Okay. Do I get it? If you lose?
Oh, do you get the 80p if I lose?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll mail it to you.
Okay.
The stamp will be worth more.
Cost of shipping.
Cost of shipping for 80p. Well, I wonder what coin combinations I'll go for. That'll be fun. Like, will it be 420p or will it be like 50p and then like 20p and 10p?
You should do 420 because Blazer.
Oh, you're right.
I feel like we got weird. We got weird coin denominations here.
Oh, what do you got?
So we got cents, obviously, because we're just it's a Canadian dollar, but I was really taking the dollar from this. So we got rid of the penny, which is the 1 cent coin. So now we got 5 cents, 10 cents, 25 cents.
25. Okay. Oh well, yeah, quarter. Yeah.
And then $1 and then $2.
Okay. Those are like you don't have a half. Okay.
No, I think maybe there was a point where we got a 50, but I forget.
I guess dollars don't. I guess America also doesn't have a half, right?
No, you just get 2 quarters.
Yeah.
But dollar bills are like 5, 10, 20, 50, 100.
Britain does get a little silly. Like we've got the penny and we've got 2 pence. We got 1p, 2p, 5p, and that's like 3 separate coins, and it's like, okay, mate, let's relax. And then there's 10p, and then there's 20p, and then there's 50p. So honestly, maybe that's a lot. Maybe that's a bit much.
Yeah.
But you know, we moved on from Imperial, so we moved on from the shilling and stuff. Anyway, thank you for your email.
Yeah. We will see. I'm sure the question of like anniversaries will become more and more relevant as the years go on.
Yeah, here's the thing. How many anniversary shows do you do before you stop caring?
It's hard to say. I do know like
because like Gundam Anniversary, we got some like animated shorts online for the 40th.
Yeah.
That was it. That was kind of it.
It kind of depends.
There was
like,
not really a big deal made of the 40th anniversary.
Like the 35th anniversary of Sentai was Gokaiger, which is the one where the Sentai turn into Top Sentai.
Yeah, that one seemed like a big deal.
So for the 40th anniversary, it was just like a normal show, but it's just like, yeah, by the way, it was the 40th anniversary, so it was pretty lucky. They acknowledged it, but it was low key.
Yeah. What did Precure had like 20th anniversary?
Yeah.
Was it?
So
was last year.
There's a 10th anniversary season, a 15th anniversary season, and a 20th anniversary season. And
doing them every 5 years seems a bit much.
Yeah,
but
also,
I do hear that people like that 15th anniversary show.
Yeah, so the 15th anniversary is Hug Toe, which is nice.
Well, there you go then.
But also, like, they're acknowledging the anniversary, but they're not really doing anything about it. Like, they did that bit with the 10th anniversary season, but, like, incidentally was their first one. But, it's...
What's the 10th anniversary season?
Happiness.
Okay.
Yeah, they did a cute thing where, like, at the start of every episode, for, like, the first number of Precure that existed and the amount of episodes, like, a new Precure would let... One of the old Precures would be like, hey, welcome to Precure. Get ready to watch the show. That was cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, Precure hasn't done, like, a full, like, crazy Gokaiger or Kamari decade type thing. Which would be cool. But yeah,
I mean, they got enough Precures for it.
I mean,
but they also do those movies all the time, which kind of I feel like lowers the impact of crossover stuff.
I think sometimes like Super Aya will do like weird anniversaries for like specific shows.
Okay.
I do know that Ultraman Orb was specifically the 50th anniversary of
Okay.
Or Ultra Series, I guess. But yeah, that was the big deal. It's like this is a big anniversary show, so that's a long while away, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Is that a podcast?
I think we're good. I think we did.
I think that's a podcast.
I thought this was gonna be a shorter podcast, and it is. By last week, we still, we got decent out of
I think this is there was stuff to talk about.
Yeah. We were not dismissive.
We would not dismiss. Let it be put on the record. We're locked in. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at ultra_q. That is at ultra_QUEUE. Mel, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Big Browns. We also have a podcast, Blue Sky, but you can find it. We have the email, allscoopod@gmail.com. And the coffee, also fun, presumably for subtitling stuff. Not getting much traction because it's not like a lot of people signed up. But, it is what it is for a small podcast. I also don't know like the logistics of how much people actually get coffee. It is what it is. Also, Brad's at The Invoked on Twitter.
you mentioned the Blue Sky. I do need to plug that. I believe that is at Ultra Q on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
No space, no underscore, just Ultra Q.
Yeah.
QUEUE.
Yeah. I'm too lazy to put in the description.
I hope that if nothing else, this podcast educates everyone on the correct spelling of the word Q. If anyone is a regular listener to this podcast and misspells the word Q again, disappointed.
Yeah. Because like the double-edged sword of the podcast name is it's a clever pun, but when saying in speech you do have to like actually spell it out.
Yeah. QUEUE. One of the funniest things ever was there was a GGP episode where they did the
Yes, I remember
QUEUE
that.
thing without any input from us. I was like,
Yeah, I remember they were like,
that's hilarious. Thank you.
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, the people at Ultra Q, that's Ultra I was like, oh, yes.
QUE. You know?
Wow.
It was so good. Anyway, that is the podcast. You will catch us next week talking about not 3 episodes of Ultraman, I believe. It is 2 episodes and 1 movie.
One movie. The Guyver.
2 episodes of Ultraman Taro and Guyver. 1991.
The first Guyver.
Which I need to acquire.
Looks cool.
And the week after will be the same 2 episodes
No.
Guyver. No,
we had to
incorrect.
change it because Brad's gonna be way out.
True. No, we should do it without Brad.
He'd be really sad.
All right. We'll be benevolent. See you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Later.
宇宙に平和が来るまでは力を合わせるんだ6兄弟太郎行くぞみんな揃い今が地球を救う時だと進め進め守れ守れ守れ我らウルトラ6兄弟ウルトラ父の教え子が今こそ手をつなぐぞ6兄弟太郎行けよ叫ぶ声を星の勇士が飛んでいくのだ進め